Do you ever catch yourself replaying the day's conversations in your head or waking up at 3 in the morning worrying about something that hasn't even happened yet? If this sounds familiar, your brain is stuck in overdrive. Stress and overthinking is so common today. We live in such a fast-paced world, especially with AI, the threat of job loss, social pressures, and uncertainty in the world. I can go on and on. In today's video, I'll share reasons why we overthink, how it affects us, and simple techniques proven to quiet the mind and take back control. There are several reasons that make us overthink, and the first two go hand in hand. The first one is perfectionism, and the second is fear of failure. When we strive for perfectionism, we want everything to be spot on. We obviously want everything to work out perfectly. So what do? We research everything to death, we plan ahead, and we don't take action until it's just the right timing. The fear of failure stalls us. It prevents us from taking any action. As a former perfectionist, when I was in my mid-30s, I told myself, by the time I reach 40, I will have all my finances in order. And anyone that has dealt with investments knows that it's taxing. There are so many different options, it's confusing. I was debating about whether I should work with a financial advisor or figure it out on my own. I decided to figure it out on my own. I bought books, read them all. I watched YouTube videos, binged on them, and I even invested in a couple of courses and completed them. But the fear of making a mistake, the fear of failure that would set me back financially, stalled me from taking any action. And even though I didn't take any action, it was still sitting in the back of my mind and taking up space. The next reason why we overthink is the lack of control. When we're placed in situations where we don't have control over it, we don't trust that the situation will unfold the way we want it to. And so our nervous system prepares us for that. Specifically our ego, it prepares us for that. So we create these scenarios in our head, and I like to call them what-if scenarios. If this happens, then I'll do this. If this happens, then I'll do that. And you're constantly thinking about it. The third reason why we overthink is information overload. It is so easy to consume data and information nowadays, every which way you look. Between the news media, social media, we have to make an intention effort to stop consuming all this information. I like to compare our brain and our mind to a laptop. When you have a laptop, you have tabs open. Maybe not all at once, but you have 1 or 2 tabs open at once. But what happens when your eyes wander to the bottom of the screen? You see all the tabs. They may not be open, but they're minimized. It's overwhelming, right? The same goes for your brain. All those ideas, topics, things to do that's floating around in your head, even if you're not actively thinking about it, it's subconscious. It's taking up precious space. Overthinking affects us in so many different ways, but it first shows up for us physically, emotionally, and mentally. From a physical standpoint, it shows up as exhaustion. If it comes up for a couple of days, it's due to overthinking and stress, and that's fine. But if it goes on for several weeks or months, it's something more serious. It's burnout. Another physical symptom is tension. No matter what you do, you can't seem to relax. And the third physical symptom is disrupted sleep, and this is more common than you think. Earlier on in the video, I talked about waking up at 3 in the morning. This is very common for those individuals who have above normal levels of cortisol. Here's a fun fact for you. Did you know that we all need cortisol to survive? Cortisol is what wakes us up and gets us out of bed in the morning. When we initially wake up, whether it be at 3 a.m. or at 6 a.m., we have that natural surge of cortisol that gets us up and out of bed. And for the people who wake up at 3 in the morning and can't fall back asleep, those are the individuals that have above normal levels of cortisol. And the reason why you can't go back to sleep is within the first 30 to 60 minutes of initial wake up, your body increases more cortisol, your blood sugar levels increase, and your energy level increases because your body is preparing you for the day ahead. It doesn't know that it's 3 a.m. in the morning versus 6 a.m. in the morning. It just knows that it's time to wake up and get the day started. From an emotional standpoint, the symptoms appear as your anxiety levels increase. You are more irritable and you have self-doubt. You lose confidence in yourself, which leads me to the mental aspect of it. Because you lose confidence in yourself and you doubt yourself, you can't make decisions. So you go into analysis paralysis mode. Awareness is key. It's the first step to breaking the pattern. Now, you may be asking me, well, Emily, how do I tackle this? There are a number of proven techniques that I'll go through with you. The first set of techniques are mindset shifts. And the first one is extremely important. Focus on what you can change and let go of what you cannot. A great example of this is the war with Iran right now. We can watch the news, prepare ourselves, but worrying about it, unless you are in an authoritative position, worrying about it just takes up mental space. We're wasting our time and energy on it. We can't change anything. The second mindset shift is reframing perfectionism and fear of failure. Reframe perfectionism. Aim for progress, not perfection. I'm sure you've all heard the catchphrase, progress over perfection. And reframe fear of failure as feedback. It's not failure, it's feedback. Earlier on in my career, I was always so afraid to share my work with my colleagues and ask for feedback because I was afraid that it was going to live up to their standards and I would be embarrassed by it. But as I got older, I learned that if you have a trusted network, sharing your work and getting feedback is pure gold because you can make improvements and refine it. So when you're up for that presentation, you're not delivering it from your own perspective. You're delivering it from all different angles, and you'll be able to address any questions that come your way. The third mindset shift is to be curious. Look at things from a curiosity perspective. When you find yourself in a negative situation, instead of playing the victim and asking yourself, why me? Ask yourself, what can I learn from this? What is this trying to teach me? If you do nothing else, this mindset shift changes everything. Now let's go through some practical techniques that will help you immediately. The first one is a grounding exercise used by medical professionals for panic attack patients. And the reason why it is so effective is when people are in a state of panic, they are envisioning themselves in a chaotic world. So we need to bring them back to reality. And the way to do that is the 5-4-3-2-1 sensory method. We start off by looking at your surroundings, and ideally this would work best outdoors, but it's just as effective indoors as well. Look around your surroundings and identify 5 things that you see. Then identify 4 things that you can feel, that you can physically touch, and I want you to notice the textures of these items. Then identify 3 things that you can hear. Do you hear birds chirping? Or maybe dogs barking? Perhaps you live in the city and you hear traffic. Then identify 2 things that you can smell. Is it the fresh cut grass outside? Or is it the coffee brewing? And then 1 thing that you can taste. Is it the piece of fruit you had an hour ago? Or is it the coffee that's lingering in your mouth from this morning? The second technique is brain dump. I've talked about this before in my previous videos, and we've also discussed about how we can consume so much information. A brain dump helps by releasing all the mental clutter, and this works best with pen and paper. The key here is this is not a to-do list. You don't have to take action on anything that you write down. This is simply a release of what's on top of mind. The third technique is deep breathing. And this does not have to involve meditation, although if you can incorporate meditation into it, that'd be great. But deep breathing helps reset the parasympathetic nervous system, and that is the rest and relaxation part of the nervous system. The breathing technique that I like to recommend is the 4-second box breathing technique. It's used by the military personnel to help them handle stressful situations. It's effective, it's simple to remember, and it works. So what you do is you want to start out by sitting down in a comfortable position, whether it be on the couch, on the chair with your feet flat on the ground, or on the floor. And you want to close your eyes and inhale for 4 seconds. Hold for 4 seconds, exhale for 4 seconds, and hold for another 4 seconds. As you're breathing, you're visualizing drawing a symmetrical box. And after a couple of reps of this, you will notice your system starts to relax. The next technique is something that I want you to be very cautious about because it can get out of hand. And that is to schedule worry time once a week for 10 to 15 minutes. And I want you to restrict it to 10 to 15 minutes. What happens is when you schedule worry time, you want to prepare yourself by creating a worry list. So whenever you have something to worry about, you add it to that list. And the way your brain works is when your brain knows that I'm going to have dedicated time to worry about this later, you will push it off until that scheduled time to worry about it. And remember, limit it to 10 to 15 minutes. And this is the time when you can prepare yourself and create your what if scenarios and go through that if that provides you some relief. And the last technique before we dive into the long-term habits is intentional physical movement. I'm not telling you to go run a marathon or to go to the gym. Schedule 5 to 15 minutes of restorative movement. This could be a walk outdoors, it could be stretches indoors. Ideally, if you can go for a walk, that would be best. If you have pets, take them along with you. Many people don't realize the benefits of walking, just intentional physical movement in itself. And the reason why this works is when you're overthinking and you're stressed, you store that stress in your body and it needs an outlet to be released. So any type of intentional physical movement will work. I spoke to a friend of mine several weeks ago, and we talked about the benefits of intentional physical movement. And he said to me, Emily, do you realize how many steps I get in a day at the office? And I said, that's different than intentional physical movement. So he decided he was going to do that, but he did it at the workplace. And he's an IT professional. He's a celebrity in the office. And so whenever he walks around the office, people stop him because they're experiencing technical difficulties and need his help. And he told me a week later that it caused him more stress than anything else. And I advised him, you want to schedule intentional physical movement where it's more alone time, me time, for you to get some relief. And I advised him to walk around in a place where nobody would know him and to get outdoors if possible. No music, no podcasts, just stillness, quiet. So he tried that. And a few days later, I spoke to him and he said it made all the difference in the world. Now that you have the techniques to provide you relief in the short term, let's talk about long-term habits that you can adopt. The first one is journaling. Journaling is such a powerful tool and it's usually overlooked. I was skeptical at first also. But several years ago, I started journaling because after a long day at work, my partner would come home and ask me about my day. I would provide him a detailed vomit of my day. The situations I were in, the people that were involved, everything. And he had his own battles to deal with. He didn't really want to hear about my day. It was just a casual question. And what I realized was that when people ask about your day, the majority of them, not all, but the majority of them are looking for a one-word response. It was fine, it was busy, it was stressful, it was quiet. And so once I realized that, I said, okay, because when I would talk about my day to my partner, I would rehash it and it would add more fuel to the fire. So I decided journaling. I could pour everything out. Nobody else would see it except for my own eyes, unless I decide to share it. And what I noticed was after a couple of months of journaling, I saw patterns that allowed me to make positive changes in my life. The second long-term habit is to reduce input overload. We talked about how easy it is to consume data and information and the natural surge of cortisol first thing in the morning. I get it if you have to check your phone to address any emergencies or urgent matters. But try to discipline yourself and limit the scrolling to the afternoons and the evenings, maybe after dinner for 30 to 60 minutes. It'll be a game changer. And the third long-term habit is to build a supportive routine for rest and exercise, or whatever it is that provides you relief. Schedule it on your calendar. That way you're more likely to commit to it. Awareness is key. It's the first step to breaking the pattern. And awareness combined with the small habits that we discussed creates something extremely powerful. It creates a calmer mind. Give one of these techniques a try and let me know how it works for you. And if these tips interest you, I also provide corporate tips as well to help you relieve stress. And you can subscribe to my free newsletter. I'll include the link in the description box below. In the meantime, check out one of these videos, and I'll see you next week.